Hi, welcome to Mondays with Melissa. A lot of people ask us about pre-planned funeral arrangements. And although many people don't want to really get into it or discuss it, they're curious about it because they've heard about it on television or on the radio. Pre-planning your funeral can be a really great tool for estate planning purposes. It also comes in very handy in a Medicaid crisis planning situation. So when you're planning for Medicaid and you're in a crisis situation where somebody is going into a nursing home tomorrow and they haven't done any planning, or they have assets in excess of what they're allowed to have in order to qualify for Medicaid, there are very few transfers or expenses that are legitimate expenses for Medicaid purposes that won't have a penalty attached to them. One of those is payment to the pre-plan. So you actually work with an advisor through a funeral home and you choose and set up everything that you want to have happen at the time of your passing, and you actually pay for it ahead of time. And that payment is not subject to a penalty for Medicaid purposes. It's nice because it does lock in any rates, because as we know, everything goes up all the time. And it also puts everything in place so that at the time of your passing, your family doesn't have to start going through the process of planning. They can be together, they can grieve, they can do what they need to do as a family and not have to really worry about making decisions and going through that process. So it's an excellent tool to utilize to spend down assets if you're in a Medicaid crisis situation. Those trusts have to be irrevocable. So when you set it up with the pre-plan, it has to be something that you can't take back, because if you can take it back, Medicaid would think the money's available. A lot of people use these pre-plans also as part of their estate planning. It's a great way to utilize assets, to move them out of the estate, and you can do this for long-term care planning for Medicaid. Also, if you're planning ahead of time, you can actually purchase pre-plans for family members as well, and those also will have to be irrevocable at the time you apply for Medicaid. So they can be revocable when you set them up, but if there comes a time where you need Medicaid down the road, you have to switch them over to irrevocable. It still does not create a Medicaid penalty. It's not considered a gift in the eyes of Medicaid, even if it's for another family member. So people do take advantage of this planning tool, and it can come in very handy. And of course, it's very helpful to your family for so many different reasons. We have great resources we can refer you to talk more about pre-plans. Keep it in mind as part of your estate plan. Put any questions in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe this post, and we'll see you next week.